Have you ever been obsessed with something, but not just like kind of liking it, like really liking it? You want more and more and more until it's all you can think of. Sounds kind of like worship. When you're obsessed with something, you actually start to kind of worship it. Think about it. You give it your money. You give it your thoughts. You give it your time. In the book of Daniel, there were some people who were obsessed, but not with talkies. You see, there was this king with an interesting name, Nebuchadnezzar. And although his name is incredibly different, that was not what he was obsessed with. No, he was obsessed with power and gold. One day, he made this big statue out of gold, and he commanded everyone to bow down and worship it. He was that obsessed with this statue. And if someone didn't do it, they would get thrown into a room full of fire. But there were 3 boys in this story who were also obsessed. But it wasn't with power or gold. They were obsessed with God and worshiping Him only. They chose to stand even when everyone else was bowing down to that idol. This was what they said: if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and He will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if He does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Because they said this, they were thrown into that room full of fire. And you know what? God kept them safe, even though they were literally in fire. They weren't burned up. God even sent an angel to be with them in the fire. Those 3 boys had to stand up against an idol, and we do too sometimes. Idols aren't just things made out of gold, though. They can be anything that we get obsessed with. They can be anything that becomes more important than God. It can be stuff like sports, clothes, wanting to fit in, TV, and yes, even talkies apparently. Those things don't have to be idols, though, but they can become that if they start to be more important than worshiping God. When we put God first and make Him the one that we're obsessed with, it's like standing up to idols, just like those 3 boys did.